I still don't think he'll be able
All
to
right, 5,
take us down.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Mitch, thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you staying dry on this rainy April day?
I always try to time my exit from the vehicle when the storm has lessened itself. So,
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay dry.
Right on, man. Well, I appreciate you coming in, and you and I met a few months back, had breakfast, and you had a really cool story, and definitely have a big entrepreneurial bug, and I was like, I got to get him on here and talk about his journey and whatnot, and just want to open up with, what do you do?
Yeah, great question. So typically where I start off with that, what I do the majority of the time is through a company called Midwest Machinery. So what we deal with is large commercial heating and cooling equipment. So who I am talking to is developers, mechanical contractors, engineers, and general contractors, essentially to take a look at a building, see what's going on with the heating and cooling, and then try and figure out a solution, whether that is repairs, new equipment, whatever it may be. So that's what I do during the day.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned, I've kind of picked up this entrepreneurial bug. So during the night hours and some of the weekends, I dabble in a little bit of real estate. And then recently my wife and I and another business partner started a company called Mommy Meals. And that's been a lot of work that we've done in the last 10 months now has really been around Mommy Meals and building out that company, where essentially what we're doing is providing really simple ingredients for a meal for a new parent that's kind of in those first 3 weeks of having a newborn. Meals can be a huge help during those first few months of having a newborn, and we want to be able to serve those people.
Wow, okay. So going back, so you graduated from Mizzou.
Correct.
And you're a mechanical engineer.
Correct.
Which is a very hard program to get through. I have a buddy that went to the University of Arkansas, and he was a civil engineer. And I've never seen, I don't have any friends that have an engineering degree that are also in sales, at least not in Kansas City. So when did you, usually when you go to engineering school, you're going to go be an architect, engineer, you're going to go work for a construction firm, things of that nature, and help build things and make blueprints and whatnot. When did you say, all right, I want to get into the sales side of things?
Yeah, so when I graduated in 2010 from Mizzou, I had a dead set in my mind that I was going to be, I actually almost got an emphasis in aerospace to where I was really wanting to do some aircraft design type work. Due to the economy at that time, aerospace was really kind of dipped down. So I didn't finish that, but the idea was that I'd be able to get into some design firm doing some sort of layout. I had no idea I wanted to get into HVAC. My initial job right out of school was with SPX Cooling Technologies, which is a manufacturer here in Kansas City. And I worked at their headquarters for a little while doing some inside sales and really understood. I got into the design a little bit, not exactly where I wanted to be, but I quickly realized that sitting behind a desk and trying to put prints together and look at old documents and merge them with new documents just really wasn't my cup of tea. And I got presented with an opportunity to go to Midwest Machinery for an outside sales role.
How long were you at SPX?
I was there for about 10 months. I was on a contract.
And what was your title?
Technically, my title was inside sales technician.
Okay.
So I got a little bit of what you would call sales. It really wasn't sales. It was more along the lines of helping out with engineers and their department and making sure we had everything lined up to make sure a project was going to be the right fit for actually some of the rep firms that we were working with. Opportunity came to jump to Midwest Machinery, and I didn't want to go into sales. I always thought of that new car salesman, kind of the this guy's going to sell me something I don't need mentality. But I was really looking for something to get out of what I was doing, and I decided to take the job and thought I'd be there for a year, maybe 2 years, and then find the next design type thing. And 7 years later, man, I have had a lot of fun with the sales side of construction, honestly.
Why?
I'm very competitive. So I always look to find ways to kind of have a strategy in a competitive way. I love that side on the sales side, but then I also get to use my technical side of my engineering background to actually understand these systems that are going on in buildings and put those together to make a product that is going to be really, really good for that customer. Not necessarily because I think it's the best thing they need, but something that's going to create value and add value to whatever it is that their goals are for that building, for that project, whatever it is.
So you obviously, there's a lot of competition in your space.
Yeah.
How many of your competitors have an engineering degree that are also sales guys for other competitors?
They're out there.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that I'm like this unicorn that's trotting around here in Kansas City. I would say there is a handful of competitors of mine. Specifically at Midwest Machinery, we typically only go after engineers that can be on the sales side.
Interesting.
So I don't have a number specifically on how many are out there, but that's something that Midwest Machinery definitely prides itself on and sets ourselves apart, I think, from our competition.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think there should be more salespeople that are subject matter experts for what they're selling. Not just, oh, we just need another salesperson, go. Here's a product. So, I mean, I just feel like you'd have a lot more validity going in, and you'd gain more trust from the front end to your customers when they know that you have a background, you went to school for this stuff.
Yeah, it really gives us credibility when we go into the engineering firms here in town. A lot of our not a lot of our competition, but a lot of our clients see that we are engineers, and not to take away from anybody that's not an engineer, but you immediately have that rapport of being able to communicate on a different technical level.
Yeah.
And that definitely gives us an advantage there. I don't know that carries over so much when you're talking to the maintenance manager or the facilities director or anything along those lines, but absolutely I let them know that, hey, I understand the systems that you're working through, and I've experienced some buildings just like this, and here's what we did. Let's see if we can do it over here.
Yeah. Are there any recent projects you guys have done that you can kind of boast about? I don't know if that's confidential or not, but
there's a couple confidential that I can't talk about, but locally we've been involved in all the light towers, so 1 light and 2 light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so those have been really cool to see literally come from the ground all the way up top. We've had some really unique projects here in Kansas City at, there's a town pavilion building down on, I'm going to mess up the cross streets, I think it's 13th and Walnut, I could be wrong. But essentially we were presented with an opportunity to take a large piece of equipment that isn't going to fit in the elevators. So we literally had, I think it was 6 semi-trucks that we had to break down this large equipment down to nuts and bolts to be able to get it up the elevator and then reconstruct it on the top level of the building.
that sounds like a nightmare.
It was a coordination. How do I want to say this? I mean, it took a lot of coordination.
Did you have to coordinate that?
Do what?
Did you have to coordinate that whole process?
I was very involved in the process of it because we took all the nuts and bolts to our assembly team to handing it off to a mechanical contractor that would pipe it up and basically make the equipment.
Wow.
Again. So that's probably been one of the more intricate projects, but honestly, like, that's what I enjoy. There was, like I talked about, the competitiveness. We had competition. I wanted to try and figure out how can we set ourselves apart for this. There was a mechanical engineer on this project, so we had to work the mechanical engineer and the property manager to make sure we had everything fitting up the way it needed to be, and we went after it and got it, and turned out to be an excellent project for us, but definitely a step outside the comfort zone a little bit.
And so you guys just do HVAC? Is that this?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and more specifically, we do HVAC on large facilities. So we're typically dealing with hydronic equipment. A lot of times, I'll tell people,
What is hydronic equipment?
Water side.
Okay.
So what I always tell people, if there's water running through a building and it's not coming out of a faucet, we're involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's always been a lot of new development in the past 5-10 years in the Crossroads. I was just down at Rock Hill Grill and saw the WeWork building, and I remember a couple years ago that was nothing. And so how have you guys done some projects in some of these older buildings, these 100-year-old buildings, and how was that process of putting your new equipment in there?
Yeah, as far as the renovations on existing buildings, it's kind of been unique. So when I talk about large commercial, we're talking 100,000 square foot buildings and up. And typically, if it's what I've noticed, a lot of those older buildings have been renovated into apartment complexes. We don't typically thrive on the apartment complex because what you start getting into is less of a central system where you'd have one big HVAC system that would distribute the hot air or the cold air to each of the individual rooms. They tend to have individual units that serve each individual room, and it takes a smaller capacity unit, not really our involvement. That being said, when you start getting into some of the older buildings that are in there, a lot of times it's direct replacement for us versus redesigning. So, there's several buildings downtown. There's several property managers we work with that have historical buildings that have old equipment. And when you start digging into historical buildings, there's a lot of things that you can and cannot do to those buildings. So a lot of times that HVAC system is just the equipment's directly replaced, or maybe we change capacities up and down a little bit, but not too much changes.
How have you seen the 7 years you've been doing this? How have you seen technology change, integrate within what you guys do? Has it been a big shift? Has it been minor?
Specific to the equipment that we've got, I wouldn't say there's been major changes to the technology side, because a lot of the stuff we have is, it's been around forever, and once you kind of get to a certain point, you can't really, so many iterations you can make before you're just done what you can.
Right.
What we do see a lot of, though, is just the smart technology that's coming out. Facilities managers being able to see what's going on in their building from their phone on their couch. Like, that's pretty incredible, to where this person can't even be at the building, can know something's going on with a specific piece of equipment. And if it happens to be our equipment, I receive a text or a phone call and say, hey, can you come down and take a look at this? And you can respond quickly, minimize that downtime.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just one thing. There's so much going on the control side. Smart hospitals are starting to looking at having sensors and lights that would be able to determine if somebody's in the room, and then they can change the function of how much heat or cold air is needed in that room as they're walking down a facility. Wow. It's kind of creepy to kind of think about Big Brother type of stuff, but they can have sensors that understand as you walking in through this building, they know how far out you are from this room. They can heat and cool so that when you get to that room, you're comfortable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I don't get too involved on the controls side of things. I just go more of the moving water situation.
Keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit more about Mommy Meals. As you said, it started 10 months ago.
Yes.
And it's you have a partner and then your wife as well.
Correct.
And it started, you got the idea when she was pregnant?
Yeah, so we've got a 21-month-old boy at home, and the idea kind of came through our birthing process. A lot of times you have this wonderful idea that you're going to go to the hospital and you're going to skip out with a brand new baby and everybody's perfect. We got a surprise about 2.5 weeks early. My wife developed preeclampsia, which, if you don't know what that is, it is a high blood pressure that occurs only during pregnancy. The only way to get rid of it is to birth the baby. So my wife had blood pressure 200/100, and when we went to the ER, they
What's normal?
You're gonna test my skills on that, man. I'm not on the medical side, but that's getting close to stroking is 200/100.
Okay.
It was enough for them to check it again and say, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?"
Okay.
Yeah, I would totally botch it if I told you what a real one is.
Yeah.
But so through that, through complications not related to the preeclampsia, my wife ended up having a C-section, which is major abdominal surgery, and we had to stay in the hospital for a few extra days because of that. So we go home, we're getting used to everything, trying to figure out what our new normal is. And, my wife is recovering from abdominal surgery. She's on pain medications. And if you haven't met my wife, she is one of the most outgoing people you will ever meet. And I rarely see her upset or kind of in a slump or just feeling down on herself. And I recognized that was kind of becoming, and it wasn't anything where it was postpartum depression or anything along those lines. She was just down on herself. She couldn't hold her baby. She'd always have to be laying down if she was going to hold her baby, and she just really didn't feel like she was helping out. And through the process, we had a lot of friends and family that would come by and help out, take care of the house, fix meals, drop them off, whatnot. But it was kind of about the 3-week point where just the natural thing with having a baby is everybody goes and starts helping the next person that had a baby. So you're kind of left with trying to figure out what you're doing. We're 3 weeks in with our firstborn child, and there's just a lot of unknowns. So we had some really good friends of ours had dropped off a really simple crock pot meal that they had already chopped and diced for us. So literally all we had to do was unthaw it and dump it in the crock pot and let it go. And my wife was able to do that. That was really one of the things that she was able to help out with. And I just specifically remembering the first time she did that she told me, I really felt like I helped out today. And here I am thinking like, you've birthed my child.
Yeah.
Like, you've gone through so much.
Yeah.
What do you mean you feel like you've helped out today and not all these other days? So it was kind of right then and there that we kind of reflected on that whole thought of, wow, if it is this simple to make an impact on somebody, that our friends made an impact on us. And not only was it helpful for the family, it was mentally helpful for my wife when she's going through all this stuff. There's got to be other people here in Kansas City going through the same thing.
Yeah.
So we sat on the idea for a long time. Like I said, we only started 10 months ago and our son's almost 2. We sat on it for a long time and kind of figured out different ideas of what we could do to make this happen at a reasonable price and how we could achieve this.
So you're delivering healthy meals to newborn mothers.
Yes, yeah. So
Mothers who've just given birth. Sorry, that's a better way to put it.
correct. New parents.
New parents.
New parents. So what we've done, how we kind of target what's going on is it's not a meal that you're going to buy for yourself. You can buy it for yourself, but that's not the point. We're giving more than just a meal. The idea is that you, as a friend, as a family member, maybe you have a really busy schedule and you want to help out, but you know that maybe you're taking care of your own kids right now and you want to be able to help them out. So we've provided a really simple way for somebody just to go online to our website, select a 2-meal package or a 3-meal package. We coordinate all the delivery with the recipient, making sure that it's a good day and time for when they want to receive these. And then it's as simple as dumping each of the ingredients into a crock pot. We're trying to get rid of extra silverware, chopping, extra plates. Try and get rid of all of that so it can be just as simple and convenient as possible.
Okay, so you give them the meal, they dump it into their crock pot, cook it, and then it's
dinner's
that simple.
cooked 3 hours later.
Okay.
Yep.
How does because I've seen such a big push by DoorDash and Uber Eats and Postmates and all these. From what I've gathered is that there's this huge market. None of them have really captured it fully, and now they're starting to really come out everywhere. But they have this incredible app that provides all this infrastructure. How did you go about creating an infrastructure of delivery?
Yeah, there seems to be new ones coming out every single day, and I mean, we were one of those. So yeah, a lot of people ask us, "Oh, so you're a lot like Blue Apron and HelloFresh." What we try to differentiate ourselves is, although those are great, those are more of an experience that people are going to have. You're going to be chopping the food. You're going to be dicing it. You're going to be cooking over the stove. And that's fantastic. And you're going to have a great meal. We equate it to date night. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
We are separating ourselves from that as more on the convenience side. We want to make sure that mom and dad, yes, they have a good meal, but also that they don't have to worry about the preparation of everything. One of the comments that we get back from a lot of these parents that we're able to serve is, one of them was, you saved me from having to go to the grocery store with an infant and a 3-year-old. And as a newer dad, going to the grocery store with a toddler is one of the scariest things that you can experience. And it takes twice as long. Yeah. One of the other ones was just the fact that they really enjoyed the fact that it was a stranger that dropped off a meal, and that it was as simple because they didn't feel like they had to prepare, get the house ready, get themselves ready for somebody to come in and provide them a meal. So as far as how do we go about this delivery and the infrastructure of it, we utilize services that are already out there. So it's no secret right now that we utilize Hy-Vee here in town to help us out.
Yeah.
They've got really simple ingredients that we can utilize off their shelves and put them together in a package and deliver those to the doors of those that we're serving. So our idea and philosophy is not to recreate something that's already being done. We need ingredients. there's local grocery stores that people know and trust. So we want to be a part of knowing and trusting those local grocers for those people that are here locally. And then delivery services. There's plenty of delivery services that are out there, and we just utilize what Hy-Vee has given us to make sure that we can provide a fresh, to-the-door meal, ingredients for a meal.
So they have drivers that are on routes, and then they drop off the meals.
Yeah. Now, I've delivered meals myself, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can go and have conversations with them, and, it's a personal touch. What we're trying to do is make an impact not only on the people that have bought for somebody, but the impact on who's receiving it. And if I can go there and provide empathy or sympathy with whatever they're doing, that's the goal.
I had in college, my senior year, a buddy and I, we had an online food ordering business just for
I didn't know that.
Just for the college campus.
Okay.
Him and his dad had created the website and the online ordering process. This was 2010, 11. And so really
early on.
Yeah,
man.
the only ones out there were Grubhub, I think Seamless, and one other. And then there's a thing called Hungry Eats, I believe, that they have about 20 to 30 colleges where there's an online. It's like Hungry Jayhawk, Hungry Tiger, Hungry Sooner.
Is that almost like a franchise?
It's a franchise.
Okay.
And so they were kind of there, and we were kind of doing our own thing. So we kind of had gotten the idea, and at Rhode Island is known for their calzones.
Okay.
And so there's this place called iZone, and they had literally all they had was calzones. The restaurant was as big as this room, and they had 4 people just making calzones, and that was the late night spot. I mean, from
all I can think about right now is Parks and Rec.
Just drunk ordering calzones. I mean, in freshman year I ordered like 4 a night because I just crushed them. But they had they had like 100 different calzones you could order, and so senior year we approached them because we have the online ordering. We probably have 90% of all the restaurants in the campus on the website, so we're doing well.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's start delivering. Because a lot of people at Rhode Island lived off campus. Yeah. About 10 minutes off campus. We're like, we're going to bring iZone, this famous calzone place, to all the people living off campus. Yeah. And we were delivering 7 days a week. We would start delivery at 6 p.m. and get done around 2 a.m. Gosh. And I did that for about 3 months.
You were driving?
Yes. Woo. My buddy and I. I got burnt out. I said, I'm done with this. Yeah. I came back home.
How do you scale that?
Exactly. We had no idea what we were doing. We had zero. We were way out of our league, but it was really cool. I mean, a lot of kids loved it. We were providing a service that had never been provided before because the only way you could get that calzone was if you lived off campus, and only underclassmen lived off campus. So all the upperclassmen, even though they liked living off campus, they still wanted their fix.
You brought campus to them, man.
That's awesome. Their calzone fix. So I have a little experience in the delivery game and how much of a nightmare it is. Yeah. Well, if you try to do it yourself. And so it's good hearing that you're already using an infrastructure that's in place. Yeah. We had talked to a entrepreneurial person that kind of gave us some insight. Mm-hmm. Basically what he told us was what you're trying to create is not proprietary. It's not unique in the sense of you're taking ingredients and you're delivering it. Mm-hmm. Go out and use what's already there. And so through conversations and convincing, we put it together, and it's worked. We've been able to serve over 75 meals here in the Kansas City area so far, and have had been fortunate enough to hear some really good feedback from what we're doing. But we're still a startup. Mm-hmm. We still have bumps and bruises that are coming along, so we're constantly trying to make changes, make them for the better. So every bit of feedback we can get, I don't know what the end goal is for us right now, but it's working and we're continuing on. What about young professionals?
As a potential
customer.
Yeah.
Because I don't have if you open up my fridge, you'd be sad because there's nothing in it. But I want to eat healthy, and I want to eat quick, and I want to do something that's quick and not time consuming because I got other stuff to do. And I think as the next generation comes through, this goes along with why there's always going to be, the amount of renters are growing because people don't want to own houses and rake leaves and take out the broom. Then this next generation coming through is going to be the same way with cooking food.
Yeah.
They're just going to want their meals ready. Press a button. Okay, we're good. All right, I'm eating now. So, is there any thoughts towards that?
So we've explored kind of what our different markets or personas might be. I would tell you that young professionals, I don't see that we'd be a great fit for them. I am still a young professional, and I would use a service that provides me a meal instantaneously. If I can get Chipotle delivered to me, I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. Mommy meals, although is something that can be very hands-off and is very hands-off, we are focusing more, mainly because we're a startup, we're financially constrained right now, so we want to focus a lot of our marketing efforts toward who we know needs them most. Mm-hmm. And right now what we're seeing who needs them most is new parents. We've had a lot of people start ordering these for people going through recovery from surgery, from chemotherapy with cancer, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And then we've also seen a handful go out towards elderly. They still are in their homes and wanting to cook and provide for themselves, but maybe a full-blown dinner is difficult for them. Mm-hmm. So we're focusing on those three kind of personas right now. But if there is a market for the young professionals, then we'll definitely explore it. We don't want to say absolutely no, but I don't see that for them at this point right now.
Will you guys deliver, like say you deliver on a Sunday, are you delivering on a Sunday so they have all their meals ready for Monday through Friday and then they'll deliver again on Sunday? Or is it the food's getting delivered, they eat it that day, and then another delivery will come the next day?
Yeah, so the way that we have to structure our deliveries, you're either purchasing a 2-meal option or a 3-meal option. Okay. Those all come at the same time. Okay. So everything can be refrigerated as needed, shows up fresh. The intent is that you could get it early enough. I mean, we go down to, you have a specific day, 7 days a week, as long as it's not a Armageddon outside or a holiday, we can deliver on 7 days out of the week. And then you have a 2-hour time frame to pick from so that we can do it. Now, everybody has to be present to receive those just because it is fresh ingredients. Mm-hmm. But the feedback that we've gotten is, maybe one meal does go in that day or the next day, mm-hmm. and then, refrigerate it till the next one or freeze it if you need to. Yeah. It can sit for a while.
Nice. So I've seen you on, we connect online. That's how we started this conversation, and mm-hmm. I've seen some of the content you put out, and it's been really tasteful. And what's your thought on building a business, building a brand, working for a company, doing the My Meals, and how to deploy it onto social media or out to the world?
Yeah.
What's your outlook on that overall?
So I've just recently, in the last year and a half, kind of taken more of an action point to be more out on social media, mm-hmm. primarily on LinkedIn is where I am putting a lot of that. When I am putting content out there, I'm just trying to be real and authentic when I'm putting that out there. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I don't have my script ready to roll. It's just kind of coming off the head. If I have an experience that was really, really awesome and I need to share that, what I've really realized is if you can be real, authentic, and tell a story versus a pitch, other people relate to that so much. And whether somebody is going through the same event or something like that, that's when you really start to engage and get feedback from what you're doing. And it's been really cool to see people like outside. They don't make a mention on LinkedIn or likes or anything like that, but I'll bump into them at an event and say, wow, man, you're really crushing it, putting good stuff out there. I always enjoy seeing what you've got. There's one guy in town that says, every time you put a video out there, man, I'm liking it. I want to actually like it so that my network can see what you're putting out there. So
it's great to hear.
Yeah, it's reconfirming because it can be kind of you put something out there and you
don't know how people are going to react.
Yeah, and sometimes it's personal stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was one I posted about how isolating being an entrepreneur can be at times. And all of a sudden you get feedback from a bunch of people like, hey, I'm going through the same stuff, keep going. And I've seen some other stuff from other entrepreneurs out there. And that's something about the Kansas City that I absolutely love, is the entrepreneurial community in Kansas City has never come to me and said, your idea is bad. It says, that's awesome what you're trying to do. What can I do to help you progress? Like, that is extremely comforting when you're starting something from scratch.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because they've been there.
Yeah.
They've had the experience of starting something out and realizing, just because you have this business doesn't mean that everything is sunshine and rainbows, man. It's very isolating. It's very challenging. And you get one bad review from somebody, and man, you can go down a rabbit trail of,
it hurts.
Am I doing a service? Should I keep doing what I'm doing? Even though you've had 15 other excellent reviews, you focus on that one bad one.
Yeah.
And having a community that you can go to and talk to about that, which is what is here in Kansas City, makes it worthwhile to continue to push through what you're doing.
Yeah. My dad is a veterinarian. He's had a practice out in Olathe for, I think he started in 84, so over 35 years old.
Yeah.
And, he's a very hands-on vet, has a small crew. I kind of call him the MacGyver of veterinarians.
Yeah.
He's just very handy when it comes to pets.
Fair enough.
And
better than Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, right. And this was about 3 years ago, when Yelp was getting more popular, and so was Google reviews. And Yelp, which I really dislike, and have nothing good to say about them, but that's for another story. They'll auto put your business on Yelp. They'll auto list it, even if you haven't confirmed anything.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize
They'll list it.
Okay.
I
guess we should check to see if we're on Yelp.
Yeah, exactly. And it had been up there for a couple years, and then 3 years ago, an old employee that worked with him in 2001 posted a nasty review, and it was a really bad review. And I'm talking to my dad, he's calling me, he's freaking out. My dad doesn't even know how to use the iPhone, so he's like, I'm hearing about this post, and I go look at it, and we talk about it, and this lady had worked with him for a month and posted this nasty review. And my dad has so many clients, thousands of clients over the years, with gleaming reports on him, and he had this one review, and it literally, I could see the life coming out of my dad. He took it so hard.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. You can be vulnerable when you put yourself out there online, and you're not going to please everybody.
Yep.
But from my experience, it sounds like yours. I mean, it's been really positive for us, and it's been really positive for you. I think Kansas City is a place that, I think we really push each other, and hope we hope we do. Everyone's kind of in it together. We're all trying to make something and build a brand, and so it's good to hear that you have the same experiences.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you've had the same experience too, because it really has been extremely helpful. And yeah, those bad reviews, although they can be tough, you got to take them as a learning lesson. Take what you can out of it. What I always try to tell myself in those moments is, whoever that person may be, they've got something going on in their life that we can't comprehend. So if I have to be that resource for them to take something out on us for what we're doing, then I'm okay with that. But as long as that we can learn from that, and I think it's really important to reach out to those people that do leave those reviews and understand why. Because you can probably learn a lot more from the bad reviews than you can the good ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Where do you see Mommy Meals in 3 years?
Where do I see Mommy Meals in 3 years? I hope to say that we've served thousands of people here in Kansas City. I don't have an end goal for Mommy Meals right now. That's something that we'll continue to adapt over time. But the big goal for us is to be able to really serve the community here in Kansas City. A piece of Mommy Meals that we're pretty passionate about too is that we've incorporated a give back piece to it, where we're donating 5% back to a a group called the Blue Dot Project, and they're a nonprofit that focuses on generating aid and research for postpartum depression. So Mommy Meals in itself is a company that we're giving to others, and we want to make sure that the company itself is being able to give. So 3 years from now, I want to be able to say that we've donated a ton of money to the Blue Dot Project and have made an impact on postpartum depression. But personally for the company, I really hope that we've been able to set up relationships with HRs and different companies to engage their employees and help serve them and let them know, hey, we care about you. We know what you're going through. Here's a mommy meal. We want to be in with some of the hospitals here in town as well, just to be another option for those new parents. You know, the biggest question I think people asked us when we were new parents was, you know, what can we do to help you out? You know, that's what we want to be able to say is, what can we do to help you out? We'd really appreciate a mommy meal. Like, that's just a simple thing that we really want to be able to serve this community. And like I said, we started here in Kansas City. My wife's born and raised in Kansas City. I've been told that I can't leave Kansas City because my mother-in-law says that the missus can't go.
Yeah,
so
right.
We're here for the long haul and
Nice.
just love being able to give back to the city that I've fallen in love with since I've moved here, and the city that I found my wife in too.
Yeah, well, that's why I want to have you on. You have good morals and values as a person and business-wise.
I appreciate that.
And that will always prevail. Lastly, here, I think a lot of people working day jobs have ideas. They want to do something on their own. They don't know how to make a transition. They can't take a pay cut. But in my eyes, I think everybody is entrepreneurial to a degree. Everybody wants to create something. How do you have any advice of having a day job and then creating something on the side?
Yeah, make sure it's not going to be an issue with your current boss at your current employer. I've been gracious enough to work with a gentleman that understands what I'm doing, and have had open conversations with him, and he's happy with what we're doing. So I would definitely make sure that it's okay to do that. But, you know, for somebody that is trying to figure out, you know, what they want to do, whether they're unhappy where they're at, or if they are happy and they just want to do more, you got to find that passion of why you're going to do it. Because if your passion is based around money, then go find a higher paying job. If your passion is about what you are doing and the impact that you're making, then you're going to make time for that, whether that is during the nights and weekends, or if you take a pay cut as part-time, you're going to find ways to make that happen. So I would just encourage anybody that is wanting to try and find this time or has this idea of starting something new, make sure that you're not focused on the dollars and you're focused on the impact that you can make for your client and your customers. Because there's going to be situations when you get that bad review and the money's not going to be worth it.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice.
Good.
Again, I'm 10 months in, so man, I am as green as it gets, but that's what continues to kind of keep me pushing and why I find time.
The 10 months in is the really raw part.
Oh man.
You know, I didn't document my first 10 months in when we were starting the business, and you know, there's not much to show at 10 months in. So, but it's good to talk about it and get it out there and talk about what you're feeling, and it can be a roller coaster of emotions, man. And the littlest win can change a whole month for you.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's really cool to see you go through it, and I wish you the best of luck. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Very much so. I appreciate you guys having me on here. It's been a lot of fun to kind of chat about that. And I know you guys are working and grinding too, man.
We're doing our thing.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have coming out here soon and keeping in touch.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Peyton.
Right on. Cool.